If you want to do really well with music licensing and you want to create a full-time income for yourself doing this, you have to make a choice, okay? You can only have one of these two things. And as I'm getting further and further into educating producers and newcomers into this business, I'm finding that there are sort of two types of people, and I can kind of tell pretty early on who's going to make it, who's going to go the distance, barring some catastrophic thing happening in the future. But I can just see with the attitude and how they approach this business, whether or not from an early stage, they're going to do some big things in their career, okay? And what I'm seeing is that there are basically two choices you have. You can choose excuses or you can have success. Meaning, and that success kind of goes along with problem solving and not making excuses for yourself and just getting in there and doing the work, okay? There's a lot of people who have not created a full-time income for themselves, making music, selling music, touring, licensing, whatever it is. And they've got every excuse in the world why it hasn't happened for them yet, right? Music libraries didn't pay them enough. The royalties that they got were laughable. Nobody pays them enough. The placements were not fair. They think that they should have gotten a lot more money. They got sat on by somebody. And then you go into the whole artist world and people are saying like, well, people stole my music. Nobody gave me a shot. Only those sellout artists are being rewarded, and true artists like myself don't get a shot in this business. You see that the common thing here is that there's just excuse after excuse after excuse as to why they don't have success. And people who do have success, who've actually created a full-time income for themselves, have no excuses. They have nothing. There's nothing they have to say about why the industry screwed them over, why consumers didn't buy their music, why they should have got more money for a certain placement. Yes, things like that happen, and especially even in my career, there's been times where I felt like I've been not paid what I should have been paid, or I haven't been compensated like I feel is fair. But I don't really dwell on those things. I just push forward, and I say, well, that deal didn't work out that great, or that placement wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be. Guess I got to move on. Right? And that is the difference between people who are going to have a long-term career doing this and those that hit a couple of snags, hit a couple of rough patches in their process, and they just turn tail and run and they give up and they say, not really worth it. So I would challenge you today that if you're one of those, and this has been a sort of a theme I've talked about in a few videos going back. I had this video about bitterness in the music industry, which is a very big problem. And that's kind of tying into this, that if you're a producer, an artist, and you've got 1,000,001 reasons why you're not making money yet with your music and you're not doing this full time, I challenge you today to let go of all of those. Let them all go. They're not doing you any good. In fact, most of what those things are doing is they're holding you back, because that's essentially a story you're telling yourself to prevent you from doing what you need to do to succeed. A lot of people are definitely afraid of failing, but they're even more afraid of success in many ways. And by having those excuses kind of swirling around in your brain and in your subconscious, it's preventing you from just getting in there and doing the work. And that's actually the new motto of the syndicate that I've created. Our new motto is just do the work. Because there's so many people talking about it and they're excited about it and they're trying to find the shortcuts, and they just need that magical tutorial on YouTube to take their music to the next level and then get that magical relationship built or whatever. Just get in there and do the work, right? Just get into your studio, make your tracks better, right? Make improvements. It could be small, tiny little week by week incremental changes that you make, but over the course of a year, you're going to see a massive change in your entire workflow. Anybody who's ever tried to go on a diet or exercise or change their lifestyle, they'll tell you the road to success doesn't come where you wake up one day and just change everything, like completely swap out all the food you've been eating, completely change your exercise habits, and, completely change everything going on in your life. You got to do it a little bit at a time, right? You maybe swap out, let's say you're a soda drinker, you swap out soda for water, or soda for something less sugary. And that's the thing you do for like a couple of weeks. And it's a small change. It's big enough for you to really feel it, but it's small enough that you don't have to change anything else in your life, just one little thing. Once that becomes normal and regular and routine, then you go to the next thing that you can change, and so on and so forth. It's the same thing with music production. You don't have to go from, well, my music isn't quite there yet, I'm not really going to get accepted, to I'm an A-list platinum selling producer in a week. Doesn't happen that way, right? How it really happens is you go, well, my kick drums aren't really hitting as hard as I could. Let me focus on that for the next song that I do. And you fix that problem in the next song, right? You start using better samples. You get a little bit better at EQing or compressing or just mixing in general for just your kick drum, right? And you start there. And then week after week, day after day, track after track, you start stacking up all these tiny little skills so that by the time months or a year rolls by, you're a completely different producer with a completely new skill set, right? It's like you're not even going to recognize the tracks you used to make because you're going to laugh at how terrible they were compared to what you're doing now. So this success versus excuses, that's a huge theme that seems to be popping up a lot in my life as I'm teaching a lot of people about this industry. And I want you to today take this opportunity to examine your own brain and your own sort of self-talk that maybe you're doing. Do you have these excuses? Are you telling yourself or telling people in your life all the reasons in the world why you're not succeeding? I would say challenge yourself to stop doing that, right? Let go of any of your excuses. I'm not even saying those excuses might be legit. Maybe people do steal your music. Maybe you were sort of screwed by a couple of licensing opportunities and you didn't get a lot of money. But I've had all those issues as well. People have used my music without authorization. I've gotten screwed and not getting paid what I felt was fair. But I don't go around talking about it, right? It's not something that I go around saying, well, that's why I didn't succeed, right? Because everybody screwed me. That's not what I focus on. What I focus on is, okay, that sucks, right? Let's just be real with it. That sucks. I didn't get what I wanted, but I better work harder now. I better get back to the studio and make up for not making so much money on that gig. I better make more music because I love making music and this is my passion and joy in life. And better go out there and start doing the work, right? So I don't get to have the excuses. I have to let go of any excuse that might want to get me down and make me feel like, I'm not going to succeed. And it's one of these pet peeves of mine that I hear a lot of musicians just complaining about, like, oh, they don't pay us enough. And, oh, can you believe this person wanted to do this and he didn't want to pay me any money? It's like, everything's an offer, guys. Like, I've been offered things to do things for free and I just say, oh, no, thanks, I'm good. And I just go work with other people. It's not like a big, like, oh my God, I'm getting screwed over and it's modern day slavery. No, like, I don't have time to worry about people offering me bad deals. If you offer me a bad deal, I just say, no thanks. Thanks for the offer, but no thanks, right? That's as simple as it is. And then I get back to working with people that I do feel are rewarding me properly and paying a fair rate or whatever it is. I feel that they are good people to do business with, right? So don't focus so much on the negative things that have happened to you and rather just think of what you could be doing today to improve yourself and how you could actually just get into your studio and just do the work.